The next MacBook Air is coming, and just like the M3 and M4 models before it, it's expected in the spring. According to Bloomberg's Gurman, Apple's preparing M5 versions of the 13-inch and 15-inch MacBook Air, internally codenamed J813 and J815, for a launch in early 2026. That timing isn't surprising. Apple has refreshed the Air in the spring for the last two cycles, so it makes sense the M5 will follow suit. What's less clear is exactly when the higher-end M5 Pro and M5 Max MacBook Pros will arrive. Gurman notes they could launch alongside the Air, but given Apple's history with the M2 Pro and M2 Max in 2023, it's possible the Pros arrive first in January, with the Air following a few months later. Either way, 2026 is shaping up to be a busy year for Apple's Mac lineup. Before we get into the specs, it's worth noting that this isn't a design refresh year for the Air. Apple Insider reports that the M5 MacBook Air will use the same chassis introduced with the M2 in 2022, with no major visual changes. That said, Korean source Elec has revealed that Apple's planning a display upgrade for 2027 using oxide TFT LCD tech. That could make the Air thinner, lighter, and more power efficient, although it's still LCD, not OLED. Historically, redesigns of the Air have included price increases, so while I'm excited for a potentially thinner chassis, I'm cautiously hoping Apple doesn't increase the price too much. Speaking of displays, some fans might be disappointed there's no OLED yet. However, with the iPhone 17 adopting ProMotion for the first time, there's reason to hope Apple might eventually bring high refresh rates to more non-Pro devices. ProMotion on the Air could make scrolling and animations feel noticeably smoother, a subtle but meaningful improvement that could help bridge the gap between the Air and Pro models without requiring OLED panels. Now let's talk about timing again. The M5 MacBook Air is reportedly being tested with macOS 26.2, according to Apple Insider. This follows Apple's usual pattern. The M4 Air shipped in March 2025 with macOS 15.3 and had been tested internally with 15.2 after an accidental IPSW leak in December 2024. Given that an early 2026 launch seems logical, the Air will ship in the same 13-inch and 15-inch sizes as the current M4, offering improved performance while keeping the form factor users already love. And what about that performance? Well, we've already seen the M5 in action with the MacBook Pro and iPad Pro. Built on TSMC's refined 3rd generation 3nm N3P process, it brings solid efficiency and performance gains over the M4. The M5 features a 10-core GPU with a neural accelerator in each core, allowing AI workloads to run up to 4 times faster. Graphics performance improves by up to 45% thanks to 3rd generation ray tracing capabilities. On the CPU side, the M5 offers 10 cores in total, 6 efficiency and 4 performance, delivering roughly 15% faster multi-core performance compared to the M4. Apple's also upgraded the Neural engine to 16 cores, increased unified memory bandwidth by nearly 30% to 153 gigs per second, and supports up to 32 gigs of unified memory. There's a new media engine as well, which improves encoding and decoding for video workloads. All in all, this is a pretty solid upgrade, especially for tasks that leverage AI, heavy GPU work, or multi-threaded processing. For the average user though, the gains will be less noticeable in day-to-day activities like web browsing, office work, or streaming video. Still, for anyone using creative apps, coding, or video editing, the M5 Air could bring a meaningful performance boost. And unlike past generational leaps where graphics performance often took a back seat in the Air range, the M5 makes this one of the more capable Air models for GPU-heavy workflows. Storage is another area where Apple might make subtle improvements. The M5 MacBook Pro now features roughly 2 times faster storage than the previous generation, and so the Air could see the same enhancement. There's also speculation that the base configuration might be bumped up to 16 gigs of unified memory and 512 gigs of storage. That's not confirmed, but considering the iPhone 17 now starts at 256 gigs, it would make sense for the Air to finally adjust base storage. Even a small improvement like that would make the Air feel much more future-proof, especially for students and creatives who plan to keep using their laptops for several years. One of the more compelling reasons to pay attention on the M5 Air though isn't the performance, it's the pricing. Because this is a simple chip refresh with no redesign, it will likely push the M4 and even M3 models down in price. Right now, the M4 Air is already an excellent value, powerful, light, efficient, and capable of handling most users' workloads with ease. Amazon and other retailers are already selling new M4 Airs for around $799 in the US, and similar prices here in the UK, which is incredible for a laptop of this caliber. When the M5 launches, expect the older models to become even more accessible. Now if you enjoy in-depth coverage of Apple's upcoming products, hit that subscribe button and tap the hype button. It really helps a small channel like mine reach more Apple fans and ensures you don't miss any M5 coverage or future leaks. Let's talk about the design and the future roadmap a little more. The M5 Air itself won't look any different from the M4, but the 2027 update could be more significant. According to the Elec, Apple plans to implement oxide TFT LCD panels, which will provide better power efficiency, faster pixel response, and more consistent brightness. While this isn't OLED, it's still a meaningful upgrade, and when combined with potential chassis thinning, the Air could feel lighter, more premium, and even more modern, all without breaking the bank. Meanwhile, the MacBook Pro is headed for a more dramatic overhaul. Apple's reportedly developing thinner, lighter OLED Pro models with touch capability for late 2026 or early 2027. This would be the first major redesign the Pro gets since 2021, and it would make sense that Apple's rolling out OLED and touchscreen first in the premium lineup. That leaves the Air to improve incrementally with LCD for now, maintaining its role as Apple's more affordable and practical laptop. It's also worth noting Apple's product strategy here. By staggering design upgrades and pushing high-end features like OLED and touch to Pro models first, Apple keeps the Air affordable whilst upgrading meaningful upgrades in future cycles. The M5 Air exemplifies this approach. Strong internal upgrades, modest storage and memory enhancements, but no major visual redesign until 2027. And that's actually fine. The Air's design has held up incredibly well since 2022. Thin, light and efficient, Apple tends to keep MacBook Air design stable for around 5 years, so the 2027 redesign aligns perfectly with that pattern. The combination of oxide TFT LCD potential thinning, and maybe even promotion could make it feel like a genuinely fresh laptop, but for those who don't want to wait for that or pay the high price for those features, you can just settle for the M5 or the M4. So what does this mean for buyers in 2025 and 2026? Well, if you're shopping now, the M4 Air is more than sufficient for most users. It offers 16 gigs of RAM as standard, support for up to 2 external displays, excellent battery life, and a sleek, well-built chassis. Waiting for the M5 is mostly about having the latest chipset for peace of mind, or for specific workloads that benefit from faster AI and GPU performance. On the other hand, if you need a laptop immediately, the M4 Air remains one of the best value Macs Apple's ever made. Looking ahead, the M5 Air's performance enhancements, faster storage, and potential base configuration bump will make a compelling device for early 2026. But the real excitement lies in the 2027 redesign, thinner chassis, oxide TFT LCD, and maybe even promotion that could make the Air feel more premium and keep it competitive with the Pros. OLED may not arrive on the Air until 2029, but the 2027 improvements still feel like a meaningful refresh. To recap, the M5 MacBook Air, codenamed J813 and J815, is still coming in early 2026. It will feature Apple's refined 3nm M5 chipset, faster graphics, improved AI processing, higher memory bandwidth, and possibly larger base storage. It will run macOS 26.2 out of the box and maintain the same 13-inch and 15-inch sizes and chassis design as the M4. OLED isn't coming yet, but 2027 LCD upgrades promises improved brightness, efficiency, and smoother visuals, with potential chassis thinning and possibly promotion. Meanwhile, the MacBook Pro lineup is headed for a bigger overhaul with OLED and touch, likely in late 2026 or early 2027. If your current Mac is still performing well, you can comfortably wait for the M5, but if you need a laptop now, the M4 Air is a superb option, especially with discounts starting to appear. I'll leave links down below. Apple's strategy is clear: steady silicon improvements each year with occasional design and display overhauls every few years to keep the lineup feeling fresh. Thanks for watching, guys. If you made it this far, hit the subscribe button and tap the new hype button. It really helps a small channel like mine reach more Apple fans and ensures you don't miss any M5 coverage or future leaks. I'll see you in the next one.